Okay, Shalom Kulam, Shalom Chaverim. We are studying Sha'ar HaSimcha, the Gates of Joy, page 193, section 3. Today we have very interesting topic, very interesting stories to share. It's going to be short, brief, and to the point. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I'm going to keep it short today. Baruch Hashem, this shiur is dedicated to everybody from Am Yisrael and all those who support Israel for speedy recovery and much hatzlacha and toda rabba. Go ahead, let's go. Come on.
His wife, children, relatives, and loved ones. If the one who trusts in this case is a stranger or a proselyte without a wife, relatives, or friends, let him take Hashem as a relative and a friend, as it is written in Shir HaShirim 5:16. This is my beloved, and this is my friend. Let him think that everyone who has relatives after a short time will return to the grave and remain a stranger and alone, and neither relatives, children, or friends will avail him, nor one of them will befriend him.
Okay, so it says here something very interesting. There's some people that are lonely. They have nobody. And they despair, they give up life. They think they're lonely. They cry, they sing, lonely, I am Mr. Lonely, I have nobody.
This is true.
And they take it to the extreme. You're never lonely. If you think you're lonely, you're really lonely. And you're only in your mind. Because Hashem is with you. And when you start to think Hashem is with you, you see you're not only. And what's the advantage? The Rabbi here in the book of Simcha, the book of Orchot Tzadikim, tell us something great. Any case, you have family, you have friends, you have people around you. Look at the positive side. You have nobody, also look at the positive side. Hold on. If I have family around me and friends, they can comfort me in times of pain, times of suffering. Who is with me? David HaMelech, King David already said, Avi ve'imi azavuni, va'Hashem ya'asfeini. Even King David says, even my father and my mother, those who are most close to me than anyone else, left me. God is with me. Don't just say it. Don't just believe in it. Live by it. Because if you know God is there watching and He sees you, you have someone to talk with. Any time of the day. Now you have no family, unfortunately. Okay? You have no wife, no children, no family around you. You have more time to dedicate to Torah, to Tefillah. By the way, you have less excuses. Someone that is busy with kids and is late to davening, no, we understand. He had to pick up his child from school, it was bad traffic. What's your excuse? So, as the Torah teaches us, if you think that God is your father and God is your friend, you are very close to each other. All problems solved. You have to really live by it. You see a great miracle. Well, it's not a recommendation to remain single, to stay away from people. If Hashem would like it to be that way, He will commend us to get married. So why you're lonely? Why you by yourself? Maybe you don't make enough efforts. Maybe you don't deserve to have a wife. Some people try and try, whatever When she wants, he don't want. When he wants, she doesn't want. And years go by, years, day by day. And it turns out that he's already 50 years old and up and never got married. It's harder. Girls that age, they don't want to compromise. And you don't want to compromise. If I waited that long, she has to be very special. And sometimes, from Shamayim, there is a decree against you, you will never get married. You don't deserve to get married. But there is a commandment. You make your efforts. Why you never get married? Because in the life before, in the Gilgul, you treated women or your wife terribly. Very badly. Yep. You got punished. I just made a video a few days ago about women empowerment, about domestic violence. I don't know if you saw it. I was asked by them. I saw it. I saw this. They sent me videos of women that got beaten by their either boyfriend or husbands, sometimes in front of children. Yes. It's horrific. I don't have any other words for it. Slicing the face of a woman. Breaking. It's unbelievable. No. So you think the next life you deserve to have a wife? You're going to live and suffer for a long time and cry, and this is maybe how you'll be able to atone treating badly your wife or the woman that were with you in the life before. It's Gilgul. So let's go back to our topic. Whatever happens, with family, without family, look always at the bright side. Now, you make efforts to get a wife. Fine. In the meantime, you have obligations, right? You have more time to focus on Torah and mitzvot and help other people. If Hashem sends you your zivug, your other half, you'll send it. If not, you can make only your efforts, what you can do. Go ahead, continue.
And let him then think of his freedom from having to provide for relatives that are dependent upon him. Let him consider this a boon. For if he were occupied with the affairs of this world, he would have exerted himself even more and would have no rest. And if he is occupied with affairs of his end, with mitzvot and with untying his art with Hashem, then there is no doubt that he will achieve greater freedom of heart, unification alone without relatives.
Right, as we said before, you have more time to dedicate to Hashem. Okay? Now Hashem says, I know you don't have family. Mm-hmm. All right? You don't have family, brothers, sisters, kids. You have more time for me. Okay? The greater Rabbanim, Tzaddikim, what they used to do, when they have family and children, you'll see it later on, how they can dedicate time to Hashem. You're busy with so many kids. You're occupied. Why didn't you show up to the tefillah? Oh, the baby was crying all night, I barely sleep. Okay, you can use this excuse once and twice. You cannot come to the tefillah every morning using the same excuse. Make the right preparations. You can't drop all your obligations because you have children. So what is Hashem going to say? Okay, before you were dedicated to tefillah and Torah learning, fine. I gave you a child and you forgot about me. You want more children. Let me recalculate it. Let me think. Because the whole purpose of you being in this world is to gather as much as you can Torah learning, mitzvot and prayers. Now with a child you have much less. Maybe a child is not good for you. or maybe just one, it's enough. You can show Hashem that with many children that He gives you, you'll never forget about Him. You don't neglect your obligations. This is the ultimate situation. Some people have one child, they go out of them, they go crazy. They can't breathe. They have one child. Women and men, a husband and wife need to make an arrangement how to share the work at the house and all the responsibilities exactly of the children at home. She can't tell him every day, either you can go davening. Why? Because I need you to watch the children. Well, this is the time you get reward for it. Let him go for the tefillah or the shiur he has. This is how you gain a share in the world to come. You have your obligations, he has all his obligations. And you, on the other hand, cannot stay all day long in the Bet Knesset and let your wife handle everything. And if you don't know what to do, you ask the rabbi. And the rabbi will give you the right solution.
Go on.
It depends on every couple. It's different, right? Okay, so go ahead. Continue.
You will achieve greater freedom of heart, unification only without relatives. It is for this reason that those consecrated ones who unified Hashem in their hearts fled from their houses and their relatives to the mountains to free their hearts for Hashem.
Right.
And if the one who trusts in Hashem has a wife, children, relatives, or loved ones, let him trust in Hashem for the strength to fulfill his obligation to them and to satisfy their wants.
His obligation. What kind of obligations? What kind of obligations you have toward your wife, toward your children? So I'll tell you what kind of obligation. Well, your wife needs money. Your wife needs jewelry, needs food, clothing, educations to the children. They need also food. This is your obligation.
Right.
According to the Jewish halacha, you should know, you obligated for all of this.
Right.
She's off the hook. She doesn't have to go to work.
Right.
Because you're signed in your ketubah that this is your obligations toward her.
Right.
So one is getting nervous, really seriously. He says, hold on, how can I manage that? How can I do all that? It's only a lack of emunah. It's a lack of trust. What do you think? You raise your children. Without Hashem blessing, you couldn't move a finger. You could not breathe. So, you have Baruch Hashem, thank God, you have children. You have wife. You have a lot of obligations. Do what you got to do. Your day should start in the Bet Knesset with prayers. Emunah, Hashem, I know what happened. Whatever happens to me today is from you, like the day before, like the many days after. B'vakasha, please give me blessings. I'm not doing anything. It's only from you. With this approach, with this attitude, you already got God's attention. You don't need more than that. Eliyahu Navi is here. Okay, continue.
Let him trust that his heart will be whole with them and that he will show them goodly paths in Torah and in divine service.
Listen to this. It's an obligation to each and every household, father and mother, to take care of the educations of the children. The tzniut. Where are they hanging around? How they dress up? Where are they working? This is a safe environment? Daddy, I want to be a waitress. It's really a good money. Waitress? Where?
At who?
To serve people?
No.
This is kosher place? This is an appropriate place? This is tzniut there?
It depends if they work in a kosher.
Even with a kosher place, if you ask me, I would never let my children, my daughters, let's put it that way, to be a waitress. Doesn't matter where. This is not sniut.
Right.
You're afraid he's not going to have enough money to provide? Hashem will provide everything. You're saying, Hashem, I'm not sending her, I'm not letting her, you know why. Please send us a livelihood in a different way, in a kosher way. And Hashem is testing you. You're going to have a great offer, quick money, a lot of money, short time. But it's not appropriate. There's no tzniut. Can you have your daughter go such place?
Shouldn't.
People think that when the children are grown up, they don't have to watch them.
Sure you do.
And let me tell you, you have to watch them all the time. Even they get married and they have children, they're still your children. Whether they like it or not. If they got married, you have to be careful now. Because the girls have husbands.
Right.
The boys have wives. So you have to be careful.
And mother.
But first, you have to be an example. You yourself be an example. So they will listen to you. Well, I'm not a child anymore. I'm all right. I have the right to do this. You know what? You're right. This is a free choice. You can do whatever you want. But you know what? Between you and I, God is watching. You should always calculate it this way. If what I'm doing is the right thing in the eyes of God, God will be happy with what I'm doing. You don't have people to tell you that the way you dress up is disgusting. You're half naked. You have to have your parents telling you this. So, you are as a parent have obligations. They can call you nudnik and nude, and this is our job. Yep. To rebuke the children. You should be smart, do it softly, nice way, never in front of other people. Take them aside, tell them this is not the right way to behave. It's not favor in Hashem's eyes. You have to deliver the message the right way. No, he's grown up, he's already in high school. Is high school you give up on him? What is high school? This is the most dangerous time. And let me tell you, they complain all the time about everything. Everything. So what? Let them complain. They'll appreciate only after they get married and they have their own children. Till then, it takes years. It takes time. It needs patience. So the father, let me tell you, and the mother, Elishama, doesn't have only the right to rebuke their children. They have the obligation to do so. If they don't, they have to speak after that before God. They'll be judged before God, no less than that. And I'm not joking here.
It's true.
Some people are afraid and embarrassed from their children. What's going to say? What's she going to say? I'm doing this. You know your children and which way to approach them. Not every child you can approach the same way. You can use the same methods. Okay, be smart, be wise. Consult with your wife. Your wife should consult with you. And I'm telling you, it's from A to Z. And why you're doing this, as it says, not so they give you respect. Oh, my father is righteous, my father is a tzaddik. Not because they want them to be scared from you, of you. They to give you respect. Because this is the right thing to do. This is the will of God. No matter what's going to be the consequences. They like you, they don't like you. You know, many times my children know the answer in advance. They know I know my father's going to say.
I know what it is.
It's good because they know we have one way and we don't stray away from the way. Children manipulate. The best manipulators. They know how to do that. Father doesn't give, they go to mom. Mother goes. They're ping pong players.
Not in this house.
Yes, okay. So, what I'm trying to say here,
We know that already.
rebuke someone and make him follow Torah and mitzvot, it's mandatory by the Torah. And this is an obligation for each and every one of us.
Yep.
There is no discount, there is no shortcuts. Comprende?
It shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be. You know, many times parents just, they don't want to make big scenes, or they're just lazy. Let it be. That's okay. Talk to them tomorrow and next time. Sometimes next time it's too late. After you gave up so many times, now they're not going to listen to you. Why you let me do this before, at first day?
Yeah.
You tell them it's wrong. It's true, you don't have to make a big sin out of it, but be wise about it. Okay? I'm just looking to see if anybody has questions so far. Nothing. Next, let's finish this part, and I have very interesting stories to share with you.
Not in expectation of profiting from them for this, or of their honoring him for having showed them the right path, and not to lord it over them, but only for the sake of fulfilling the blessed Creator's mitzvah. Let him think that he is Hashem's messenger to teach his relatives and loved ones. And let him not take credit for this, nor flaunt himself before them. And if he needs something from his relatives and they supply it, let him consider them Hashem's messengers to supply his needs.
Right. You see, always go back to Hashem.
Yeah.
If you got it, from Hashem. Did you get it? Also from Hashem. So why to blame them? The last few lines is the most very important.
And not trust to them at all.
At all. Continue.
And if he asks something of them, but let him think that Hashem has many messengers wherewith to fulfill his needs. That's true.
So, let's say you ask from them something, and they couldn't provide.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? He asks something of them, and they refuse him.
Mm-hmm.
Don't hold this against them. You know, sometimes it's very hard. And our topic today is to judge people favorably. It's very hard when you help someone, when you provide to someone, and he turns back to you. And when you ask him for once for help,
He said no.
he says no.
And you think it's them, right? That's normally what
People, most of the people would think this is such a chutzpah. How they can refuse me? There is a story number one. I have two stories today. I was thinking about two stories. Number one, how to judge someone favorably. The Talmud Masechet Shabbat, tractate Shabbat, the Kuf Chav Zayin Amud Bet, 127, brings a story. I heard another it's about Rabbi Akiva, but doesn't bring the names. There's no names in this story. A guy that went from the Galil to the south to work at someone's farm. Back then, people would leave for a year or 2 or 3 years and even more in order to come back with a large amount of money so they can provide for many years after. Be surprised. We have even today, I have here coming people for Dallas. They leave their family for 4 or 5 months and more to work and come back with money. It's not something new. Okay? So this guy worked at someone's farm for 3 years. Before Yom Kippur, he's about to go home. He knew that he saved a lot of money, and he went to his boss to get the money. And he said to him, I'm ready to go home. Can I get my money? He says, I have no money. give me fruit. I mean, she can get, something. No fruit. Give me a land. No land. You're talking about a very wealthy man that has a farm, and he worked for him for 3 years. You know exactly what he has and what he doesn't have.
Right.
So give me cattle, give me animals. No animals. Give me some pillows, blanket, mattresses, something. None of it. None of this. He took his donkey, turned back, and went all the way to the north sides of Israel to his family. A few days later, this rich man took few animals, loaded them with food and wine and candies and money, and went all the way to this employee. And he told them, I came to pay you, but I have to ask you something. When you asked me for money, and I said, I have no money for you, what were you thinking? He says, well, I thought you might have an opportunity to buy a very good deal with a very cheap price, so you used all the money you have to buy it. When you asked me for fruit, I thought they are not me'usar. You didn't take title, they're not ready. You can't use this. Okay, you can. When you asked me for a land, what you were thinking? I thought maybe you already list them. When you ask me for animal, maybe you already list the animals too, so they can people, plow the fields and all that. When you ask me for pillows, mattresses, bed, chair, something, I said maybe you're already dedicated to the Beit HaMikdash for something.
Wow.
It was times of Beit HaMikdash. So he says, word by word you said that's exactly what happened. I want to say something to you. The same you judge me favorably from Shamayim, they judge you favorably till the rest of your life. That was the father of Rabbi Hurkenus, that he dedicated really everything to his son. Anyways, he says exactly what you thought, that's what happened. Can you imagine someone that worked 3 years expecting to get his money, to go very happy to his family, and you hear such thing from his boss? Where's my money? No money. If you heard that, you would jump and choke him, right? No, he was thinking he judged him favorably. That's not an easy thing to do.
It's not normal.
It's not normal. But the Torah teaches you this is the right and the only way to do it.
This is the real way.
This story from the Talmud is not just a story. It's to teach each and every one of us how we should judge other people in a most strange situation. I'll share with you one more story that when I read it, I'm telling you, tears it was in my eyes. It's a true story that happened in our times, nowadays. One guy, a dati, a Haredi guy, Jewish guy, in Eretz Israel, walking on the street, and he saw an advertisement that another guy needs a bone marrow transplant, right? And he's looking for donors. So he was thinking about it and says, you know what? Let me give it a shot. People come, they check them out, then a few days later you get an answer if you fit or not. He went to there, the place, the address, says, Shalom, I came to check if I'm fit and there's a good match for the bone marrow transplant. They check him. A few days later, and this is rare, they told him, you are the guy.
He was the right candidate?
He was the right candidate. So this guy was ready to give the donation of the bone marrow. And he told to his father that he's not going to be in certain days, he's going to go treatment, and want to tell him, want to share with him that he's lucky, he's so happy, he can save life, And his father talked to him and he says, wow, which family? Where is it? See, when he told them the name of the person, he says, give me the name. What's the name of his father? What's the address? No, you can't do it. He says, what? Abba, I'm going to save life. He says, I'm telling you, you don't argue with me. You're never going to give bone marrow donations to this guy. Period. Don't ask me any questions. Well, these guys got confused. He thought he was going to get his father's blessings. On the other hand, he got restriction. He says, I'm going to have to speak with my Rabbi. He went to his Rabbi. The Rabbi came to this place, this guy's home. Yes, the father saw him. He said, you immediately understand what happened. He said, Rabbi, you know I have much respect for you. I'm not going to kick you out of my house, but if you try to convince me, I'll go out. So the Rabbi says, let me say one word. Have a seat. You were sitting and he says, you know, this is a great mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to save someone else's life. When he heard that, he says, he stood up and he left the house. The Rabbi was in shock. He said to his son, listen, it's definitely something more complicated than this. We have to investigate what's going on here. We have to find a solution. So the guy says, his son says, you know, my father he's not talking a lot. He's very silent all the time. But there's time that he speaks. When he speaks, when he drinks a little bit. So my suggestion is, come back, I'm sorry, in Lela Seder, it was pretty soon, a few days after the 4 cups and everything, he'll talk. I have the feeling he'll talk. Rabbi says, you know what? I never thought about that, never planned something like that, but I will come. They set up a time, and they're finishing Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. After that, he came in, he was already, in a good mood after drinking so much wine. And he said to him, Rabbi, let me tell you something. I am a Holocaust survivor. And I used to be in a camp. We were all in a cabin, Jews in the cabin. They make us work very hard. It was in a military, close to a military factory that making bombs to the German army. They didn't provide us with food. But I have my little child with me. And the Germans didn't know about him. So we hid him in the wooden ceiling. During the night, we took him out. He used to go where the Germans are and steal food, bring us to the cabin. This is how we survived. It was there a guy, a Jew, there was engineer. He knew how to make bombs. And he was walking at the camp like he owned the camp with 2 bodyguards. He was well respected by the Germans. One night, he just opened the cabin. He came with a big stick and he started to hit the ceiling. At some point, half of the ceiling collapsed with my son in it. With my son down. He took him, he twisted his hand, he took him out of the cabin. 3 minutes later, I heard 2 shots, and I never saw my child again. You know who's this guy? The guy that you mentioned, the guy that have a son now, and you want to save his son? He is not deserved to be saved after what he did to my son. I know this guy many years back. Now you see why I can't? I will not allow it. He's not deserve it. The Rabbi started to cry. He never heard such a story. He said, listen, we have to go and talk to him. We have to speak with him. What do you mean to speak with him? This is not... No. Give me this respect, just this moment, few minutes of respect, and let's go talk to him. And the influence of mine said, you know what? You can go. You do the talking. They're walking to him. It was just a few blocks away. Can you imagine living next to each other so many years? In the meantime, the guy that wants to give the donation become friend with the other one. Okay? And this guy is a secular that needs the donation. The guy that needs the donation is secular. But they found, common denominator to talk about Judaism, about Jewish halacha, about Talmud. Nevertheless, he's secular. He saw them, he called his father went down, and then he see this guy. He took a deep breath, and he says, for so many years I wanted to talk to you, I never got the chance and the courage and the opportunity. Just listen to what I have to say. And the other guy wants to jump on him to choke him. So just listen. I know why you're upset. And I tell you what happened. That day, the Germans found out that you guys stealing food. They wanted to execute everyone in this cabin. I was there, I heard the conversation, and in order to save you guys, I told them, listen, this is the little child's responsibility. I'll take care of it. Let's kill just the child. In order to save everyone else. See what kind of a decision they have to make in such horrible time. So I went there. You saw what happened. I got your son. I got him out. When I was out, I couldn't really kill him. I couldn't do it. So what I did, I shot 2 shots, but I killed the guards. I was able to take him, this son, disappear for a few hours, to a monastery. I told him, this is my child, take care of him. And I went back to the camp. I know I'm very valuable to them. They hit me, they beat me, but they couldn't kill me. They did something horrible to me. They made sure that I would never be able to bring children to this world. What I did, one day, I was able to run away. I went back to this, it was almost at the end of the war. I went back to this monastery. They recognized me and I asked for the child. I took him because I knew I can't have children. And you know who need donation now? This child, your son.
Wow.
This is your child that you refuse to give donation, that you refuse to give bone marrow transplant.
That's why it was a right match.
Yeah.
They were brothers.
It was right match.
Wow.
How Hashem brings all these things together. Go back a few days before. How can the father judge him favorably? How can the father think that that's what happens? And there are stories like this in thousands.
Yeah.
Thousands of stories like this.
Because we don't see all the angles.
You don't see. Before you say something, before you think, take it through a sifter.
Yeah.
Think, sifter, and then say something. Baruch Hashem, eventually God fixed everything, eventually. Judge everyone favorably. except the wicked. You know, the wicked, we're not supposed to judge them favorably. They don't deserve it. If I see a wicked breaks the Shabbat, or a wicked, hits someone, he doesn't have the right, and he doesn't deserve to be judged favorably.
I mean, that man probably thought that other man was wicked because he thought he could.
Obviously, that's the case. But he should investigate it. Should investigate it more carefully. He didn't want to have anything with him. Nevertheless, they live very close to each other, it turns out. I don't know if he met him or he knew that he lived somewhere in the town. But it led to, Baruch Hashem, a good operation, and he was able to save his own brother, his own son, that he saved, and who would know that would happen. On behalf of Ohev Israel Foundation, I want to thank you. Don't forget to judge your fellow friend favorably. Shalom.